Salute, definitely to definitely want to give honor to 9/11. Let me crank this up.
Crank it up.
What's going on, people? This is No Labels Podcast. I am your host, Willie G. We got Miss Audrey in the building.
Hey, y'all.
We got the Queen in the building, Miss Keandra. 9/11. Like Miss Audrey was saying, we give honor to all the lost lives, families impacted, everybody. We give definitely a moment of silence for that day. Mm-hmm. But as you know, everything is clickbait. So 9/11 is just
that abrupt
it was just clickbait. But we gonna crank it up with the
that is the actual date.
It is a date. No, it's a date. But I'm saying, but it's not. This episode is not about the Twin Towers.
It's not. That's right. I feel you.
Well, we're gonna start with the icebreaker.
I never know y'all. Y'all pray for me.
We gotta get our
black card be on the line.
We gotta get the conversation. I'm still in black cards. I already said it before the. We still in black cards this year. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh Lord.
All right. Yeah. Well, anyways, just to get it cranking, being that this is 9/11, can you remember where you was the day the Twin Towers?
Oh yeah. Yes, I was a freshman in college at Savannah State University. Go Tigers! And I was just sitting in my dorm, and a friend of mine called me. My friend Nick. We actually have been friends for years. We met in 6th grade and went through high school and then college together. But I got a message on my phone, and I missed the call, and I get the message. And he's like, "Hey, Dree, I just thought you might like to know. I don't know if you heard, but it's stuff blowing up all over the country. It's real interesting. Turn on the news if you haven't heard." And I was like, huh. Because I hadn't at the time. It was, I don't know if it was early. I'm just a late sleeper or whatever. But that's when I heard about it. I turned on the news and wow, this was happening. Now, my roommate had family in New York, so it was a different level of kind of crisis for her, and to see her reaction, the family checking on each other and things like that. That was, it was just a lot of just unrest. Emotionally, people didn't quite know how to respond or anything. What was actually a little scary was we still, for the next couple of days, we still went to class.
Yeah.
And we're in Savannah, and they've got Hunter Army Airfield right there, and they do drills and everything, but this was not a drill. And so we were sitting in class, and all you heard all day was planes flying around. And we sitting in this building should we even go to class? Should we be trying to get home to our families? And just how loud, just like even now I work by the airport, and sometimes those planes and those jets can get really loud. And we know that the last thing we heard is that planes crashed into a building. And so when you're sitting in a building, in a classroom with all these questions, all this uncertainty, all this unrest, and you hearing these close planes, you don't know how close it is. You don't know if it's crashing into the building you're sitting in.
Yeah.
So that was a real feeling of unrest that I remember having the day of and the couple of days after, because for the next few days, all we heard was planes in close proximity.
Yeah.
So it was
a real moment.
It was real.
Now, I'm be real. It was probably more real because I was in the 6th grade.
Good Lord. That's why I'm like, y'all were in what grade?
I was in literature class. So I didn't really
freshman at Savannah State University.
I didn't really understand the gravity of everything, but yeah, that's where I was at. Once again, one more time, I definitely give honor to, that moment. I don't take it lightly. But the crazy part about it is, even that 9/11, and then we're gonna get into some more icebreakers. Even knowing how big a moment that was, 9/11, I don't think it still impacted. It still didn't have the impact that COVID-19 did. You know what I'm saying? Because I think COVID-19 had a great because it was worldwide.
Yeah.
And that was the first time we even with the Twin Towers, we still went to school the next day. At least we did. Maybe
I was in class of terrified of planes. I agree with that. But with the 9/11 attack, it was a certain set of people decided to attack the United States. So it was a very isolated thing, whereas coronavirus felt like the whole global race against this virus. Yeah. So it's gonna have a different impact.
And the world shut down.
And then it was and it was an invisible threat until it manifested symptoms.
And we buying tissue
you know
paper.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
those two very different things. And yeah, as far as the global impact on day-to-day life, yeah, COVID has the greater impact, but 9/11 shook up the whole world.
It did. That's a fact. And that's and then I'm gonna go on some more icebreakers. That's what we're gonna be because I feel like just like 9/11, America was at a state of emergency. I feel like the world is at kind of a state of emergency, like dealing with as far as mental health goes. Even as we say it all the time. Me and Darius had an episode about it, but we was talking about it even in church today. That was what part of the sermon was, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you need Jesus, and a lot of us need therapy. We talk about it all the time, but it's like I think that became more of a real life fact after COVID-19. But let me get into some more of the icebreakers before we get deep, because I want to try to steal your black card. All right, so we got sitcoms, Family Matters or Fresh Prince. Where we going? Ooh. I'm going with Fresh Prince. I'm gonna just go first on that. That's the greatest show ever to me.
I don't think you can compare those two.
They're tough to compare.
But I'm saying, but they both got the leading father.
They do.
You know what I'm saying? It's both family. It's both family oriented. So I'm like, who you going? I'm going with Fresh Prince.
I like Carl Winslow.
My parents. Okay, so again, this is half the reason my black card became revoked, because my parents were very restrictive about what we could watch. So not that I didn't watch Fresh Prince, I started watching Family Matters before. And I have to check the year. I'm not sure as far as like the years apart as far as when the pilot episodes, but Family Matters was part of the TGIF lineup, and we watched all that for a lot of times together as a family. And so there was more permission that I had around Family Matters because it was a little more. It had a lower rating as far as like PG to like some of the language that they would allow on Fresh Prince. So like Fresh Prince had to kind of like be vetted out by my parents before they let me watch it, because in their mind they were like, is it Martin? Is it that level? You know, so it was certain things I was introduced to a little later just because my household was restricted. Now, so I really just had a different connection with Family Matters. Show for show, it's hard because the timings are so different and the way sitcoms were done. I think Fresh Prince, just all in all, is the better show if I had to choose. But
I'm going with Fresh Prince for sure.
And then Family Matters got a little into the sci-fi with Stefan Raquel.
Don't get me wrong, Family Matters was the joint now.
You know, it was. They're tough to
compare.
They're tough to compare.
Yeah. You can compare Fresh Prince with Martin.
I was gonna do that. I was gonna do Fresh Prince and Martin.
Yeah.
Like Family Matter and Parenthood.
Well, so you got who you choose? Because I got another one.
I mean, I like them both, but I think Fresh Prince is just
Fresh Prince?
it's the better show.
So Fresh, all right, well, cool.
But then you gotta look at. I'm looking at like camera lighting and the way sitcoms were done. You gotta remember, sitcoms used to just close off at the end of an episode. We didn't have all these series and arcs like we do now in that way.
We're gonna take a quarter of your black card. Just a little corner piece.
Okay,
that's it. Listen, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like when Will did that crying scene. I know y'all know the little famous crying scene. That's when you know he was either like the next Denzel or something, because I promise you felt that boy's soul on that video.
But then to that point, Fresh Prince got more iconic scenes, you know. So you got the scene where Aunt Viv kills it in that dance audition.
Oh yeah, now
you know what I'm saying? You got more.
You got the dark skin Aunt Viv.
Oh, listen,
the dark skin Aunt Viv was the truth.
Yeah, she was the truth.
Hey,
she was the truth. You know, I feel like I have to be reminded of some of those scenes that hit hard for Family Matters. They didn't become quite a pop culture phenomenon like Fresh Prince did. But then also, Will Smith carried on into movie making pretty seamlessly, where those actors from Fresh Prince from Family Matters kind of really just lived in that space. You got Jo Marie Patton, the mama. She went on to do Proud Family, but it was voiceover, cartoon work, and things like that. So they weren't as visible as long. The timing was different. I just think Fresh Prince was the better overall show. But I was really connected with Family
I
Matters.
got one for you. I got a good one for you.
What y'all think? What y'all got on it?
Moesha or the Parkers? Moesha or the Parkers?
But
Who
the
we going
Parkers is
with?
a spinoff. Do you get the Parkers without Moesha?
Do you? Is it a
Nah,
spinoff?
it's a spinoff.
I thought it's a spinoff. All right, well, bump it. All right.
It's a spinoff. But I do. I
Versus
oh
Smart Guy.
oh our sister.
Smart Guy was good too.
Living single or girlfriends?
Okay. Now we
Living single.
Now we doing
or
some
girlfriends?
stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh. First of all, I just want to say this, and I don't know what my choice is yet, but I do want to acknowledge that Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, is my favorite fictitious person. Ride the Maverick. So I just wanted to get that out there. Maxine Shaw is my favorite
Maxine the
fictional
Beast.
person. Ride the Maverick. When she says ride the Maverick, she means it.
I'm going with. I'm going with living single. I'm going with living single. I'm gonna be real.
I like Girlfriends.
Oh, they're both really great shows. Very different. But living single. Ooh, that's tough.
Living single is like legendary.
Girlfriends is too, but I gotta give that one to living single.
You going with living single?
I think there was humor in a different way. Then you get the greater dynamic because you have a mixed gender cast.
Yeah.
You know, I love Girlfriends. Don't get it twisted.
Obi?
You know.
Taylor Ross is
Oh, Tracy, you know she's my friend in my mind. Shout out to Tracy Ellis. But I gotta not by a landslide, but I give that one to living
So
single.
you going with living single?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those that ensemble cast. Yeah.
Okay.
But Girlfriends is also phenomenal.
Okay. I ain't gonna
Like
touch
here's the thing, I would take. I feel like Girlfriends could give us a movie in the same way Sex and the City has.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't really need that from Living Single. I can just run the reruns.
Yeah. I think girlfriend.
I would like to see a reunion show like they did with Martin for Living Single. I would love to see a reunion show.
They cast alive.
Yeah.
Everybody's still alive.
Yeah. I would love to see a reunion show, but I wouldn't mind seeing a movie type sequel for
Do you think they can remake it?
for Girlfriends.
You think they can remake living single?
Yeah, like how they did Fresh Prince. Now that's really good. You gotta watch it. I seen it.
I heard
could they
I heard
remake?
Could they do a remake?
What y'all think?
Could they remake living single again?
Single.
And nowadays, I don't think it'll fit in nowadays culture.
I think it was a very y'all. We got a lot of comments and goings. The babies in here being the babies. It's all good. But living single as a reboot. All right, let me ask this: do we want to reboot in the same way that like Will and Grace or Mad About You did, where we pick them up from their current point, their current age, like where they are now in life?
I think they
or you want to go back and recreate it?
No, you wanna take it and make it to today's culture, like they did Fresh
Like
Prince.
they did Fresh Prince.
So you take it, same store, same people, but you make it 2022.
I don't. It would be good, but I don't think it would hit as hard because there are so many shows that have elements in it. Living Single was trailblazing. It was trailblazing, and so anything that was like the first of its kind in that way, everything else has gonna have elements in it. So if it comes back in, it's coming back into competition that wouldn't exist if they didn't do what they did. Does that make sense?
Do you?
So I just don't. I don't. It wouldn't hit as hard except for the nostalgia that we carry for it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
You know. But then like you can hear now like a younger person comparing it to something new that's out, and we're like, nah, but it's this. We're becoming that generation that defends our era, like our music and stuff
you
like
know
that.
you're getting old. It's the good music. It's the good music here.
Speaking of that, especially coming after that, on the heels of that Omarion, Ray J mess,
Oh, that was trash.
Usher and Tevin Campbell singing "Can We Talk"
Oh,
at
yeah.
Usher show.
That was
Y'all,
a good-
you not seen
And
that
that
clip?
Usher still that dude too.
You ain't
Usher-
seen that? Y'all seen that clip?
Usher
I
is still that
posted it.
dude.
You did?
Usher
And Tevin Campbell is still in them notes.
listen.
And Tank, y'all know I love Tank, and I love Tank's relationship with his craft.
Tank is a beast. Tank is
yeah.
a beast. I ain't gonna lie.
His that new album is really nice. His interview on 85 South Show.
I watched it.
Oh.
Yeah, I watched it.
I just
yeah.
love Tank.
It's fire.
Love
I ain't
you,
gonna lie. It was. Do you
And
feel like?
listen, I'm buying one of the hard copy CDs just as respect to the legend. I'm gonna order it from somewhere. I don't have a CD
Do they
player,
still
but
sell CDs?
listen,
They still
he's
sell
selling
CDs?
them. Tank selling them.
That's fine.
And I'm gonna buy one. He
That-
autographing
That's
them.
vintage. That's vintage.
I'm getting it.
Do
I
you-
like vintage.
Do you feel like
I don't have a CD player, though.
like movies are getting better, but stories are getting worse?
What do you mean? Wait.
It's like we got the graphics now, we got the money, but do you feel like the storyline is getting like kind of boring for the most part? Like, 'cause I see movies, they got the graphics, but the story seem to be like a bunch of reruns. Like they taking stuff from old stuff, trying to add it to 2022, and it's like it's not as original as it was at one time.
I think
In some points,
I think that the stories are maybe as good as they've always been for the times.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What you mean by
like
that?
what I mean is you pick any era of filmmaking and there were lots of stories being told and movies being made, but for whatever reason there were these ones that resonated more and more. And so now we're more saturated with content than we've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are going to see some redundancy.
I got you.
You know,
It's too
and
much
so
out-
maybe a really great story it's easier to compare it to similar stories. Then it's like, well, now I got to weed out which one is the really good one. I just think that we just got a whole lot to choose from in a way that we didn't. But I think that the stories that are being told are good and necessary. But then the way that we have a different freedom of storytelling, it means that you can grab onto the stories that resonate with you.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, I love this. Like, I don't really connect with that like that. But I think that means that the stories are getting more accurate to real life. And so all of that plays a part, I think.
Okay, no, I can feel that. I'm gonna keep going.
I still got my black card, though.
JB, shout out JB Sampson. I meant to
Shout
do that.
out,
I meant to
JB
do that
Sampson.
last episode. I went to his live performance. He brought on the podcast in front of a packed room. So that was major love. He killed the show. So yeah, shout out to JB.
Shout out JB
Shout out to Miss
Sampson.
Audrey with a magazine about to drop.
Yes. Royal Ink,
the Royal Ink magazine.
The Royal Ink magazine. Royal Ink the magazine. It's coming together. I've got. Do I want to tell who I've got coming? Yeah. So I've got my good friend Shanika Vale House has agreed to do an ongoing column called My Transparent Moments, which is an extension of a brand that she already has.
Okay.
She has an amazing ministry and community to support just mothers of any kind, or whatever your brand of motherhood is. She has a real heart for, ministering to mothers and hearing God's voice through the moments that she has with her children. And she shares so freely of herself. And she puts out so much stuff that I don't know how much of it gets seen, especially when it comes through like a feed. And I just wanted to give her voice and her message a place to live. And really kind of just take root a little bit in a different way.
Transparent moments.
Yeah, it's called My Transparent
Moments.
Moments. And like if you look at the font, like the parent is capitalizing, the mom comes out of moments. It's really nice. So
that's
Shanika
fire.
Bell House.
That's fire.
And so and
I just seen that.
yeah, it's good. And she does videos, and she's an excellent writer. She's published a few books already, children's books. She used to be the assistant to Tasha Cobbs, so she has a book about what it means to be an assistant. She's a really, really talented writer, but her heart towards moms and the little ones is really phenomenal. She's got 3 beautiful girls. She's been very open with some losses, but she's right there as a beacon of light for the motherhood community, and so I want to give her space there. I got a artist highlight. I got a contributing writer. I'm not fully sure what that article is gonna be about. I got a few coming in. So, but I'm also giving space to whatever my writers want to say. I'm not altering their voice in any way.
So you trying to make it like a traditional magazine, but online?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I'm grew up. I'm still very old school and vintage. I'm still an analog girl.
I think vintage would be
And
it's
so,
perfect
and
right now.
so I grew up loving and reading and writing for newspapers. I've written for magazines. I like those traditional elements of historical print media, but I understand that we consume online. Most of our things.
Yeah.
So like, how can I bridge those and still honor my love of what storytelling through journalism and that particular medium of magazine, newspaper style, article style format. It's something I've always wanted to do. If you go in my house, like I decorate magazines everywhere. It's magazine stacks. I've always loved it. It's always been my favorite thing to read. And so I feel like I know the most talented people in so many fields of work and industry, from musicians to law enforcement and in the lawyer legal space and even in construction and marketing, and it's just so many people I know, and I feel like I really know the best of the best, and I just wanted a greater place for their work to live, other than just like, hey, it's on my timeline, like I just want to give it a space, just a landing space. It's like, hey, go check this out on purpose, deliberately. We're going to highlight it and blow it up. And so, and I've always just I love the energy that comes with underground movements, and so I've always had a heart for like, send me the underground musicians, the underground poets, the writers, anybody just doing some really significant work in whatever level they're doing it. Maybe their spaces, the space they've been called to is only in a certain small region, but it's so impactful. Like it deserves to be highlighted, and also they're part of a bigger industry. And also I want to show how people live with this faith in their work, in their industry, in their life, in their creativity, and in their relationships, and not just in the sanctuary space. And kind of get rid of that division of how it looks like, I have to be like this in church and I have to be this way in life. It's like, no, we are people living this whole life that is driven with this undercurrent of faith, and I want to highlight those people. So that is what Royal Ink, the magazine, is about.
Royal Ink, the magazine. I'm gonna get. I got some sound because that would have been the perfect moment for some claps. That's fire. So Royal Ink, the magazine. I'm about to dive into the topic soon. One more. Okay. I gotta mention this one more thing. Okay. The Queen.
The Queen.
The Queen.
I almost went into the TikTok like the Latifah. No.
Hey, that's what I thought when Keanu first told me. I ain't gonna lie. They was like the Queen. I was like, man, I'm gonna be real. Like I never disrespected them.
No.
But honestly, like I have never seen a reaction like they got TikToks like where I don't know exactly where it's at. I want to say in Ireland somewhere, but I don't know. I know it wasn't in America, and they had the whole stadium chanting some crazy job. I mean, we know the history, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna go into all that. But I had to mention it because that's a moment. That's a monarch. The Queen is like she was. That's crazy, and like it's we can go into all kind. Like, there's some history behind that throne. But
and for it to be a woman, there's just certain things in there that just you gotta respect it, no matter what other things can also be true.
Yeah.
From whatever perspective you're looking at, but yeah. Like 25, 26.
I'm not even gonna dive into it quick.
And you just die. But then also you see, and I talk, I did that little excerpt of my book where I referred to that statement. But I heard him, like one of the reporters was like, "Well, the Queen is dead, and long live the King." And that's how that system is set up.
That's it. Mm-hmm. That'll be it. 9/11 people. 9.
Here we go.
11. Audrey, you still got your black card. We still black.
I live to fight another day.
We still black card certified over here. But yeah, I just want to tell, like 9/11 state of emergency. Why did I? You know what I'm saying? What do I mean by state of? Now I don't think like we all living in but it's just a different moment. And what I'm really focusing on is mental health area. I feel like I do feel like it's a state of emergency where I feel like it's crazier than ever. You know what I'm saying? As far as like I'm not saying people going crazy, but people are starting to do things that they ain't never did. You know what I'm saying? Like remember the self-care episode? Mm-hmm. And like that was big for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people related to that kind of conversation. And like even after that, like I know people, Keandra know people, and it's like people going through like anxieties and things that they ain't never been through before. You know, and it's like so like being that this is faith meets culture. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when you figure out like the greatest gift you can have. And now the greatest thing you can have is peace of mind. Like really be good, you know what I'm saying? Cause like your cats ain't good, you know what I'm saying? Like like social media makes us look good, you know what I'm saying? It captures the moment, but it's like a lot of people like not good, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like lonely,
yeah.
On some real talk. So how you feel about that that title anyway, like 9/11 state of emergency. Like, how you feel about me saying it's kind of a state of emergency toward mental health? Do you feel that way? And it's like,
What exactly do you think what exactly are you saying the emergency is?
uh, it's kind of hard to explain. It's just like what I've witnessed. Like at first I was just trying to throw it up, but like maybe not. Well, it is because maybe we more aware of it. Maybe we talking about it more. Maybe it's always been there, but maybe now it's open. Like we ain't never seen it before. You know what I'm saying?
I think that may be part of it, that it is open, and right now in a way that I've never seen in my lifetime, people are encouraged to speak about it. One of the things that I do have concern about is the truth getting wrapped up in the trend of it. And what I mean is we still we've never seen mental illness at the levels we've seen it, but we've also never had technology and connectivity with so many people in the way that we've seen it, to the point you're connected with so many people, but you aren't actually interacting as a human with as many people, and what does that do to our psyche? It's so many things that we're intaking that is actively affecting our minds, which is where our mental health lives, that I don't know how much in the name of mental health we're making the correlation. Like, do you actively, like, no, I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm not going to live in so many screens for this amount of time, or like some of it. And I think we're really quick to medicate when some of these things, well, like you could really adjust your surroundings in a way that will boost your mental health. Even things like one of my assistants and I were talking, because she has some different things that she deals with, but it's like for example, we were talking about depression. I was like, oh, yeah, depression, you can have a medical diagnosis and take medicine for it, or you can just have a depressed moment or depressive moment. And if we don't do some things, we don't quite know which one needs professional medical attention, or this one just like take a minute, take a walk outside, come in and clean your house. It will lift you. You know what I'm saying? If I'm having a day where I'm feeling a little depressed, and if I clean my room or clean my home or take a walk, it can lift me right out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes and I'm not saying that these illnesses aren't true, but also because it's on trend. People are quick to lean in before they'll do a remedy that they almost want the attention that the trend gives. Instead of like, well, if this is a real issue, you could just, eat some fruits and vegetables and take a walk or a nap and feel a little better. But they rather the attention of, I'm just really depressed right now. And because of all of the people who are trending with it, my concern is for the people who have a true issue with it that needs some different help, especially if you've seen some of these mental illnesses up close. If you've seen and lived with some of them up close, it's like, listen, if you can regulate this with a walk and a nap, do it.
It gets scary.
Because some people just really do need this level of attention, and I don't want it to sound like I'm downgrading anybody's experience, but I know myself that I have had days where I'm feeling depressed, and I changed the way I was eating. I made a point to go outside and get sunlight. I cleaned my home, and I wasn't as depressed as I was 2 days before. You and I did a mental health thing together. We did the monologues. And one of the things I talked about, yes, I had a real mental illness and I was fighting for my sanity. Like, no, me and insanity went toe to toe. But I don't live in that state anymore. And just the same way with certain illnesses like a cold, or even things like COVID, like, you know what? It doesn't have to be a life sentence. Maybe there are some environmental conditions that are causing this particular mental illness. And if you give the same attention to the environmental conditions as you do to the medicine, this does not have to be your portion for the rest of your life. But I think some people lean into it because of a trendiness and then some attention that they may not be getting in other areas.
It could be a
and
crutch.
So my concern is for the truth of it and the people who have a true need, that, that they don't get lost in the trend. But again, like I've had The same way with my regular physical health is like, no, I'm ill today because I have a cold. Like, no, I'm ill because this situation has made my mind really dark and I'm confused and I don't know what's what and I can't tell. So that my mental state was not healthy for a while, but it wasn't forever. I was so surprised. And this was in 2009. I was so surprised at how quickly a doctor wrote me a prescription for antidepressants after my child died. This was a week. I was like, I'm not depressed, I'm grieving. And I was glad for the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
Because you can't medicate grief away.
Yeah.
And so maybe I could have taken the medicine and it might have suppressed some different things. But once either I'm on it for the rest of my life or I go off it and I still got to deal with the grief. I said, well, let me navigate grief and let's see if we need some help with the depression. But it was not a week. No, to the point of I went in for my follow-up doctor's appointment a week after I had my baby and she died. And my blood pressure was through the roof. And my doctor asked me what I thought was one of the dumbest questions ever. She said, are you stressed about something?
Ma'am.
She asked you that?
Yeah.
She asked me that.
Did she
Thank
know?
God.
Did she? That was your doctor?
That was my doctor. Here's the thing. She wasn't there for the delivery. So you know what? I can get into all of those details later.
That's
but
crazy.
You know what happened. Did you just ask me, am I stressed about something?
That's crazy.
Thank God for the midwife.
That's crazy.
Thank God for midwives and people who listen in that medical profession. This is a black woman with dreads, beautiful woman. She's like, you sound like you know your approach to health and medicine. And this is a different thing. You haven't. And she's like, she heard me, and she was like, you know what? You don't have to necessarily take this just because a doctor suggests it. Like you sound like you, as hard as this is, you sound like you have a handle on it. Or, as opposed to like, hey, let's just get her some antidepressant meds quick. Yeah. And I went and talked to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, they gave me antidepressants. I'm like, it's a sad situation, but this is grief, not depression yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what do I do? I don't know. And my mom, in her wisdom, was like, you know what? Fill the prescription and only take, and if you feel like you need it, it's there. If you don't, whatever. The voice of wisdom and balance. But I was like, even that bothered me. And so my point is, this was 13 years ago. And so now somebody goes in and says anything, how quickly a doctor just was like, hey, you're depressed, take this. After the death of a child, a week. So I'm just concerned about the trend of it.
You just reminded
Did I go too far?
No,
Y'all still with me?
You just brought back a memory from mine because I was a teen mom when I got pregnant with Jackie. I was pregnant in '08. Well, I had Jackie in '08, and I was my whole teen. I was 16, 17. I was 17 when I got pregnant with Jackie. Everything I had lined up, I could not do anymore. And I was very sad. And I went to my doctor and she was like, here, you can take these antidepressants while I was pregnant. And I was like, that I never understood why did she give that to me so fast?
Right.
My whole life is about to change.
I mean,
see what I'm saying?
That's tragic. I mean, we all know the
And
medical.
it's like you can't medicate yourself out of your life.
Yeah, out of life happening.
Out of life happening to you and how you feel about it. Learn how to navigate feelings before you medicate them away.
I think we are. I think this generation.
And so I do think that is a state of emergency, and it makes me concerned for the people who really need some real help, and then some people who just don't and just want some attention and don't want to do some work. That it is work. It is work. It is work to pull yourself out. Like, no, I don't need. It is work to pull yourself out of these things. But they do. But then also, my thing is, if you're taking drugs, what else is that doing in your body that you didn't ask for?
No, it's true. That's
so I just have a real concern based on my experience, and I was just like,
dang, I ain't thought about that.
you see what I'm saying?
I mean,
I just have I just think a lot about these things, and I'm always concerned about who really needs help. What is the truth? Don't let the truth get lost in the trend. So that the people who really need help can get the appropriate help in the appropriate proportion. I'm gonna stop.
I was gonna go pretty much the same way. I mean, I was gonna say more of a, some people, like you say, I think being that it is trendy, And it's a real thing. Like you don't want it. You know what I'm saying? As you don't like when you in depression, that's like. But every day is like to be happy for a moment is like a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And like you don't. That's something. And it's a fight. It is a fight. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why when I say Jesus and therapy, you know what I'm saying? And even to those Christians out there that's listening, whoever, it's a reason why the Bible say put the whole armor on. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it is like sometimes I think it becomes an excuse to not. You know what I'm saying? To not. You know what I'm saying? Not face the facts that. You're not gonna wake up and everything be going away. You know what I'm saying?
That's one of my favorite verses.
It's the day by day.
In
It's
the
day by day.
multitude of my anxieties within me, your comfort is to light my soul.
And it's a real battle. Like
is.
TDJ said it a long
David
time
said
ago.
the multitude of my anxiety within
The
me.
battle is in the
Anxiety
mind.
ain't new.
The battle is in the mind.
It is.
You gotta. I mean, you gotta go to war. You know what I'm saying? There's grace. God will help, but you have to be willing to pick the sword up. Okay, that's.
So good, guys.
Listen, our producer is the best cheerleader. You hear that?
So good because this conversation just embodied what faith meets culture. That was it. Just.
I
Go
mean,
ahead, guys.
Yeah.
we need
Go ahead, my caller.
Jesus, and are you good? We need Jesus and therapy, and we need self-awareness. We need accountability. You know what I'm saying? Because that you mentioned that, like how they offered you and they offered Keandra, and they offer anybody who go through a traumatic thing antidepressants immediately. So you numb, so you never face the grief. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So you pretty much stuck on the antidepressants for the rest of your life.
Right.
So you kind of like a zombie. It's literally
Listen,
zombie
and
land
then
around
let me
here.
tell you what made me extremely grateful. Again, the wisdom to know the difference between grief and depression. You know, and to see, but then 2 years later, I met a woman. It was two women. I was in one of my stores working, and they came in shopping, and I was helping them. They were sisters, and one of the sisters just kind of didn't talk much. She was kind of zoned out.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, you know, and I was just helping the other just as much as I can without prying. But she, you know, they open up and they'll share with you sometimes, especially if you're in a dressing room helping them like pick clothes, you know. And she was like, yeah, my sister. She was like, we just keep an eye on her. She was like, she lost her baby 2 years ago. She hasn't been the same since. Now I had lost my baby 2 years ago, and I was like, and I feel like I just saw an image of what I could have been. And this girl, beautiful girl, but just kind of like a shell of herself. You know, I'm like, I had to fight for my mind. I did. It was a long fight, but I won. But I had to fight for my mind in that. But I saw in real life, in real time, you know, in the same time frame as mine. And I was so grateful that she shared with me, like, the reason, because it was testimonial to me. It was encouraging and confirming. And I still pray for her, as that woman, as I think about her, you know. But she was like, I'm like, is she okay? You know, because I've seen, you know, some mental illnesses and things like that. But she said specifically that the state that she was in was because of the same situation that I went through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank God for the difference.
I mean, and that's why you say, like, it ain't nothing. Like, if you ever seen mental health up close, you know what I'm saying? I struggle with mental health, but I also seen people with worse cases. I also have family that I've lived with worse cases than I had. And the thing is, you literally go toe to toe with insanity. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like I said it. You know what I'm saying? I said it like, this is why you need to know God for yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's good. Like, it's good to have teachers. It's good to hear the word, but outside of it, like, it's good to know God for yourself, because, like, when you come into situations like that, like you went through, or like anybody who goes through that when you toe to toe with your own sanity, and it's like that's when you really realize when you can't go another step. You know what I'm saying? And all God's telling you to do is just get up today. Yeah, I got you. And
Yes.
like you on autopilot at work, at life, and then you lay down and you realize God carried you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's a whole different type of intimacy.
It is.
And it's a whole different
Listen,
kind of.
I had one day, I was telling I cried for 3. I didn't know it was humanly possible to cry for 3 days straight, but I did. I was like, no, like, and to the point, I'm like, I'm still doing stuff. I'm like, I can't just I'm not laying in bed for 3 days straight, but I literally, like, I had a moment, I started crying, and it did not stop. I would wake up from a nap or something, my face would be wet because I'm crying. I'm brushing my teeth, crying. I'm talking, having regular conversation, but, like, eating cereal, tears falling. Like, 3 days, I said, Lord, this gotta, you know, and that was the beginning of learning how to regulate emotion. Yeah, I really was afraid of getting dehydrated. That was a very real concern. I was
You
serious.
just crying.
But that was the beginning of that was the
That's crazy. It
that
ain't
was
funny,
the
but it's
beginning
crazy.
It was just like a leak, and somebody come fix this leak.
You right here just talking.
Yeah, it wasn't like a gushing like that, but they probably would have took me to the ER if it was a whole, hysteric. But it was just
You just crying.
it's a leak. It's just going, But that was the beginning of really like, Lord, help me to manage my emotions because I'm a dehydrate. I don't know how many tears are in the reservoir, but I can't. We need to re-up.
He is a counselor of tears.
Don't send me. Don't send me.
He is a counselor of tears.
Well, he got I put a big deposit in them 3 days.
You were just crying.
3 days straight.
Walk around, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. But grief, everybody grieves different.
Yeah,
like, that's the one thing I knew. And it's like that's the good point. Like we got Zombieland, that's why I wanted to talk about it. It's like because we can go so many ways, and I like to touch the human aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, it's like how do you bring faith in that? Like what we just talking about? Like what does it really look like? Because honestly, like it's a mental fight, a mental war to me is worse than a physical fight. Mm-hmm. I think it's worse because a physical fight is there and it's over. You know what I'm saying? You either lost, you win, you go home. But a mental fight, you can't escape it. It's everywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? And it's scary. That's why you go to the medication. You go to the self-medication. You go to people drinking till they pass out.
What it is you're trying to get out of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be there.
Like, okay, I can either win or lose this physical fight and it'll be over like you said. I can win or lose it. I can go home. I can remove myself from the situation. But if it's in you, then those substances, what people are trying to do, I've been there, where you're trying to take yourself out of yourself because that's where the fight is happening.
And that's where a lot of people at right now. And at the end of the day, this is where your faith is tested. Like, okay, I can do all things through Christ. Oh, really?
Well, let's see.
Huh? Oh, really?
Let's see.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
see.
and it's like, but yeah, man, we can. I can go on days about it, but that was just the intro though.
That was just the intro.
Pretty much.
Cooking.
That was the title.
But that was the preheat.
That was the title.
That was the preheat.
That was the title. We were just explaining the title, but we done kind of slid into it.
All right.
We just kind of slid into it, but when we was talking about it. Like matter of fact, we was talking about it today in church too. But me and Kiana was talking about it before, like last week, and I was telling her like I want to go on a sabbatical. I've been hearing everybody talking about sabbatical, and I ain't never knew what it was. I thought it was just some church slang. I'm like, what is a sabbatical?
No, it's a real life thing.
Yeah, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Got a whole definition for it.
Take my church card, okay? We'll get it back.
I could probably. I ain't gonna even get into that because I didn't grow up in them kind of churches.
And it's like, but I like the idea of it. Like, I guess the original definition of sabbaticals take like a year off or a couple months off, something like that.
It's just a period of rest.
Yeah, and it's like.
You want me to get a real definition?
Yeah, let me get it real. Yeah,
I got it.
It's like I was telling Kiana, I kind of want to take a sabbatical, not like a long one.
A period of paid leave. Come on, paid. A period of paid leave granted to a university teacher. This was into one specific thing.
Okay.
Grants to a university teacher or other worker for study or travel. Traditionally, 1 year for every 7 years worked. Let's look at more definitions. Or appropriate to the Sabbath, so a long Sabbath.
Okay.
Like a time.
So basically, it's a time of rest.
A time of rest. So here we go. A sabbatical is a rest or break from work. The concept of the sabbatical is based on the biblical practice, which is related to agriculture. But it's a period, a significant break from work.
And it's like.
And I think.
You've been going hard for 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years, it's time. You overdue for a year by 3.
And it's like I want to take a sabbatical, but like I don't want to take a year, not now.
Oh.
But no, I can't take a year. But like I want to take like a nice, like maybe not even like maybe like just, but where I don't focus on I just know nothing I do. You know what I'm saying?
I just kind of came off of one with Royal Ink. I paused because I was doing so much of moving, the vacation, but then I came back out. Let's get it in the magazine. But it does fuel you in a way. It restores you. It replenishes you.
Are we burnt out as a culture?
Who is we?
The American culture. Like, are we burnt out? Like, are a lot of us with me? Because it's hustle mentality. Yeah. It's content mentality, and content only works if you continue to put out consistent content. and we still gotta have lives.
I think it absolutely can burn you out. And I think at some point, especially if you've tried to, from an entrepreneur perspective, a brand building, trying to get out there and push a certain thing like, hey, this is who I am. And this is why, I think you should check me out. And I do think that at some point everybody has had a little bit of burnout. But as far as like maybe the continual burnout, I think that happens when you try to maintain a pace that's not yours, And I think once you dive, especially into that social media world or that, the advertising and things like that, I think you jump into it and you got to get the temperature of what the pace is and trial and error. But if you change with every time the tide change, that can wear you out. Yeah. But if you can use that, kind of assess the landscape and be like, okay, how do I fit? What's a pace that's comfortable for me that I can maintain? You protect and guard yourself against burnout nearly as much. Mm-hmm.
I'm only saying it because I think these are all this is why we are a state of like a lot of the reasons why, and I think being a state of emergency, I think relationships, men and women, are at a state of emergency because of mental health issues. You know what I'm saying? And more stuff, but I think that's playing, especially from men. You see the TikToks, you see the TikTok. I mean, I gotta go. You see the TikTok where they talk about men, and a lot more is coming out about how men feel. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's being expressed more than ever. So I think that's a good thing.
I think it's a great thing.
And it's but I think relationships at all times, because people are burnt out. Times rough, gas prices don't know what they want to do. Inflation, alcohol. I went to get rubbing alcohol from Walmart. It was like $1.69, and I didn't even notice it. I just heard somebody yelling. Like I was riding by, it was like $1.69 for rubbing alcohol.
What was you riding on at Walmart? You was on a Rascal?
No, I was walking by. No,
like you was riding by to the point.
Hey,
on a Rascal.
If I was, I got my business. Y'all
I just want to know you okay.
But no.
I do think there. It's a lot of I do think there are a lot of little emergency situations popping up all over, and just like, well, which fire do you put out? Then I think you got to stop and listen, which one am I assigned to? Because I can't put them all out. Which one is in my jurisdiction? Let me get with God about what my territory is, because I can't put out all these fires. Yeah, they out here, but they ain't all for me to tend to.
Yeah, that's fact. You can't
see, but you gotta be like, okay, what could I throw some water on? Yeah, and that's what I'm gonna go for. But listen, certain stuff going on in certain sectors and certain fields and industries, I'm like, I recognize the fire, but I'm not equipped to put that out. So whoever's equipped, go do that. But so you look and see where have you been assigned? What world you been assigned to? What people? What groups? What community? What issues? And then you prepare your heart. You depend on how the Lord has caused all things to work together so far.
Where's your tribe?
You find your tribe. And then who can you collaborate with for certain things? Some things you got to take on yourself. Mm-hmm. But I do think there's a lot of little fires out there. And then what do we do? Where okay, I got a little water, not enough for all of them. But where am I assigned to? I can keep pouring water on this.
I think we should. I think
that's what we're doing with some of this. That's one thing. The podcast is okay. Oh, wow. Certain things.
That is just a whole.
Come on, Queen.
So hear me out. So you said that we're assigned to different things, right?
Yes.
It's almost as if when Jesus had to feed the multitudes with that 5 loaves of bread. Mm-hmm. I mean, the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 pieces of fish. Uh-huh. And then he told the disciples to have it and thank God for it, and then it kept being replenished. Do you think people are trying to do that concept? Far as trying to trying to feed everyone around them, mm-hmm. instead of just finding the people that they're assigned to?
Yes, I do think. I think that's some of it. I think people sometimes don't know, or maybe that moment you talked about, do you take that moment in between, recognize that you have something before you take it to the people, present it to God? I think there are some people missing. I remember when I was teaching regularly in church, and I'm like, this is a pace that I cannot, listen, this is a pace every second Sunday, sometimes fourth Sunday, mm-hmm. every Wednesday. Mm-hmm. This is not a pace that I can keep up in my own strength. Mm-hmm. And I remember praying a prayer that I remember the first time I prayed it, but I pray it continually, especially if I get promoted at a job, or if I find myself in high demand for something. Mm-hmm. I was like, Lord, may I never forget that any time that anybody is asking for more of me, mm-hmm. because of something that I've done well, mm-hmm. I know that they're really asking for more of you. Mm-hmm. So I need you to give me more of you. Yeah. They may not know it. They be like, Audrey is so great at this, or she could do this, or she would be perfect for this, and they're asking for me. But they don't like, but this is not anything from my personal life or anything like that. This is like work performance and results driven and things like that. While she's excellent with this and she can deliver on this, I had to stop and like, Lord, I know that they're asking for a lot of me, but I know that they're asking for you in me. May I never forget it. And I need you to give me more only because they're asking for more of me. I know that they're asking for more of you, but they don't know they're asking for more of you. So as long as I don't forget it, I'm going to keep taking the little basket and saying, Lord, bless it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's a real answer. That's a real. Do you think you love comedians? You love comedians. I think
my brother from my hometown, Elder Wallace. Rico, what's good? As Rico Wallace is joining us. He's saying he's enjoying the conversation.
Yo, what's going on, man?
Appreciate you, brother.
For real. But like you love comedians.
Oh,
and,
I have a whole love affair with comedians. Yes.
I think the whole country culture as a whole is too up. Like we're too uptight. We're too offended. You know what I'm saying? To the point where we can't even I say bring real comedy back. I mean, we have real comedy. Like I'm not trying to. I'm talking about like we're so tight. You know what I'm saying? And I think laughter is like it's good for like you like somebody who can take what hurt you. You know it's a bad situation, but make you laugh about it.
Yes.
Like talk about the days when you was broke and it's laugh, but it's a real situation. You know what I'm saying? It's like we so uptight. Everybody's offended in their own corner. Everybody got nobody's extinct. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's mad in their own corner, and it's like
they are.
We need to take a chill pill as a whole culture. Like relax.
One of the things that's interesting to me about sometimes the offense that you find in comedy audiences is interesting because sometimes they are like some of the biggest offense is not coming from the target of the joke. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, Dave Chappelle. Like of course, there are going to be some people who are offended on behalf of trans people. There are some trans people offended, but they're like this close friend that he had. Like, no, I'm giving you a real scenario about a real person that is laughing her tail off at this stuff. Or I saw a thing where people were asking if as far as like this offense to the Mexican culture, people wear sombreros on random days like Cinco de Mayo, and they asked like all these different cultures, white, Indian, were like, no, I don't think that's okay, no. And then they asked the Mexicans, they was like, yeah, man, cool, we having fun, you know.
Chilling.
And so sometimes it's like this like secondhand offense. Yeah.
That's
it's
true.
Just like this ain't even like use your powers for good. This ain't even.
Everybody
because the best comedy is rooted in truth. And if you get the truth right. Yes. Then it's almost like you can't deny the joke. It's like, yeah, we do act like that.
And
you know
like,
what I'm saying?
Like one of my like Jesus said, like offense will come. Everybody gonna you can't escape it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you go every day, you're gonna have the opportunity to be offended, and it's small or big. You know what I'm saying? And it's like if you stay in a bitter state, like that's it mess with your body. Like literally mess with your body. You know what I'm saying? You got headaches, acne. All because you won't forgive somebody.
Is that what this breakout is about? I forgive you, whoever you are. No,
please let him go. Please let him go.
No, I think it's the season change. My skin has to adapt around. Fall trying to come through. And my skin is like, what are we doing? Do we need a little more moisture?
Let him go and live. You know what I'm saying? But no, I mean that's just idea. Like I think we too uptight as a culture. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it changing no time. How it's going now, it look like it's going in one direction. I mean, I'm here for change, but I'm here for truth.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean everybody's tight. You know what I'm saying? Like laugh a little bit. Like it's good for your soul. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of my prayers is I want to be you know what I'm saying? I want to be unoffendable. Like I don't want to be able to be offended.
I mean you're gonna be mighty fortified like Teflon, man.
I want to be that, and it's like of course I'm not right now, but it's like
you want to be unoffendable. God's gonna send all the offense your way.
Please don't say that. Nah.
I
do want to be. I like, cause I mean, imagine how free you would be to be unoffendable. You know what I'm saying?
When you ask him for those things, he gonna test it. So
Listen,
you got to get the training for it. That's how you get training in the arena of the thing.
We're gonna go and change subjects.
I mean, you said you want to be unoffendable.
I do want to be unoffendable, but y'all ain't about to assign me.
I would, Keandra, I would take this opportunity to get a list and get some stuff done. Get some stuff off your chest. No, I will not cause strife in anyone's marriage.
Oh, the devil's advocate. The devil's advocate.
No, but I think one of the things that can help remove you directly from some offense is just really learning to see as many perspectives as you can from a single issue. You know, it doesn't mean you have to agree. You know, and one of the things I found actually really powerful, like in business meetings and even in negotiations, is if you can learn to speak from a perspective or see from a perspective, and you don't have to disclose whether or not you agree with it. Yeah. And it sounds like, well, have we considered the people who might think this? Yeah. It doesn't mean I think that, but I know what we're trying to do, and it's going to hit these people. Are we prepared for that? You know, or you can also sometimes mask your own personal feelings about a thing and kind of separate yourself from offense by kind of collectively getting this invisible people with you. Like, well, what about the people who have this, and that? And you don't have to say, hey, this is specifically my issue and take on the whole offense. It's just like, well, I'm not the only one. Because if you're the only one, which is rare, if you are the only one, you can usually handle that in a one-on-one conversation. If I'm the only one who is uniquely offended because of this, but if it's something that can have a larger offense, then you could, you know, join yourself to, okay, we are all offended, but it's not just me. So what's the bigger issue? What are the other perspectives? And so I just think it's a really powerful communication tool to know how to just take one situation, spin it on every side and get every perspective you can. And then you can still, it doesn't have to alter what yours is. Yeah. But if you can do that, it gives you a little bit more compassion. Like, it's like I see, I don't agree, but I see.
But I understand. You know? Yeah, I understand. You know? And just the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you know how many offense will be solved just with conversation? Like you say,
I believe.
Just the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like you never know. Like, somebody could be bitter at you right now. Me as well, and we don't even know it. Like, see, I'm not that type. I'm that type. That's why, like even at a workplace, like, I'm not aggressive, but if I got an issue, I'm not about to work around you and not say, look, bro, I'm not about to. I'm not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna at least have a conversation where we know. Listen, I didn't like that. And it's like,
really?
It's like,
I do. Hey, come talk to me real quick.
I just want to tell. I don't like assuming. I don't like assuming. Like, I think assumption is a big part of a lot of people's offense, especially right now in the social media age. You know what I'm saying? They might feel away. They might see a post that ain't got nothing to do with them. But they're offended, and they never have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're acting crazy. You good? You know what I'm saying? Not knowing that they're offended, but they never approach you. You know what I'm saying? And then when they approach you, could have said, "What you talking about, fam?" Yeah. Like, bro, I was just in a breakup. I was really talking about them. You know what I'm saying? They could have been saying, like, oh, for real? Yeah. I ain't know. You know what I'm saying? The whole time you thinking it was you, and they had nothing. Like, they mind wasn't even on you. You know what I'm saying? So. We can go offense. You got
passive aggressive. Yeah, I can't do the passive aggressive. If I'm gonna be aggressive, I'm gonna be active about it. If I'm gonna be, I choose my aggression. But if I'm not gonna be passive about it, if I'm gonna be aggressive, it's gonna be active aggression.
How do you develop tough skin? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you
live life?
Life.
You don't. You do. That's a big answer. But you I think one of the things that can hinder the development of tough skin is avoidance. You know, it's just like, hey, you got to have this conversation regardless. Just go straight to it, or you got to deal with this. And what can happen in the time that you wait. Our minds and our imagination are extremely powerful, and we can conjure up this idea in our mind.
And you got this whole.
And it's have this. You do like something as simple as like one of my girls that works for me. I was working with her. Like, I hired her. I did her interview. Yeah. And then I worked, I was working out of state, working in Hilton Head twice a week. And so they don't necessarily see me all that much, but they hear my name. They're like, oh, let's call Audrey about this. Or, well, we'll just wait and see what she, and so they hear my name. And so in their mind, I become this bigger thing. And then they work with me, and there's always like and they'll tell me like a week or two later, it was like, Ms. Audrey, I was scared of you at first. I'm like, just hanging there with me. I'm not so bad. It goes away. I said, and I used to be like, no, I don't have to. But I realized what was happening. So I explained to him. I said, well, your imagination is really powerful. Yeah. So you met me. You knew I had the power to hire because I hired you. I did this, and then I passed you off to my assistants, and you know that they communicate with me. And so you just hear my name, but you never see me. You never work with me, but you know that there's a respect for my standards and all this different stuff. And so now I'm just an idea in your mind because you haven't had the conversation or worked or done. And if the longer and to what I was saying about avoidance, the longer you live in that void where your mind can just make a thing humongous.
That's true, too.
Then that the more you're going to want to avoid and the less you want to go do, you know what I'm saying? But I think sometimes it's like when you really try your best to not to do the avoidance thing and kind of go and handle your issues head on as much as you can, you do develop tough skin, but you also learn that it's not as tough as I thought it would be, or because you think it's going to be a thing, which is a little different from the reality of the thing. And then sometimes just by continuing to do it, sometimes, and it looks like tough skin to people, but sometimes it's not. It's just like I have all the same feelings you have. The only difference is I acted sooner. Yeah. You know, people are like, I can't believe I was so scared. I was scared too. I did it anyway. Yeah. And so you continue to do, and then you realize there is a little bit of difference between the idea of a thing and the reality of a thing. Yeah. And if you get enough experience with the reality of a thing, then you realize it ain't gonna kill me. It might tough me up, like all that, you know. But you really see what that does for you, and you avoid less.
Conversation save lives. Cause I'm gonna be real, like, and a lot of times
leaves a void. Yeah.
A lot of times, like the scenario you was talking about in your head, a lot of times it be the total opposite of what the truth is.
Oh, listen.
Like you can. That's why I say like you can have this whole image about a person, and you literally in the moment you feeling the anger and all that, and your body don't know you. So to your body, you in that situation. You tight, your blood pressure going up, ain't nobody in the room but you.
Really, that is so good. It's like your body don't like your mind, because your mind is made a thing. Your body like, what we gotta do? What we gotta square up? What we gotta do?
Your body on 10. You over there sweating, listening to R&B music. But you know what I'm saying?
Tank, pop in that new Tank R&B money. If you're gonna be listening to R&B, pop in that Tank R&B money.
You killing yourself over just assuming. You know what I'm saying? I got this thing with Keandre, like even if I may think a thing, I'm like, if I don't know it about a person, I don't even assume it, because then I'm gonna go into that scenario. Yeah. So I'm like, if we have a conversation, I'm not gonna assume nothing.
I try so hard to live by that, because people come like, well, I'm sure I get a lot of stuff that I do hear beforehand. Yeah. Because it's part of like how the way my little work system works. But even too with family, people come to me and say, well, I'm sure you've heard about. I said, listen, I don't know anything till you tell me. I've had friends come and tell me things like, well, I wasn't really honest about this, or not so much that they lied to me, but they were maybe not, they're keeping something, and it was like, well, I'm sure you probably knew. I said, listen, I don't know nothing till you tell me. Yeah. Now, I may have an idea or whatever. I said, but we never talked about that. I don't know until you tell me. And so I'm not going to push you to do anything before you're ready, but we can have the conversation. But, you know, and usually it's bigger in their mind than it had to be, because they're like, oh, well, what is, you know, what is it going to be? What is she going to think? What is the conversation going to lead to? Yeah. But it's just like, I don't know until you tell me. And so I'm not going to, and so as much as I can, I'm not going to act any differently, because I don't know. Because you haven't told me, so you haven't given me a direct reason. Yeah. And if it's something that maybe I heard that's pressing upon me, then I should just take it to you. Yeah. But if it's just something, you know, it's on you to introduce that thing. And I should not treat you anything. If I'm gonna treat you different, I might as well say something. Yeah,
had a conversation. That's really why we here. Like this building thing is only for a short time. Like we going to live. And we're going to come to the people. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't mind being, like, I really started this to be disagreed with at some point. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't tell me that was part of the blueprint.
Oh, shoot.
That's why you picked me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm shaking the table.
I don't mind.
Stop shaking the table.
I don't mind being disagreed. Like, I don't mind having conversations. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't get me wrong. I done had people say things to me that.
Table. I'm so sorry. It's looking like an earthquake on Facebook. I'm sorry, y'all.
You know what I'm saying? I done had people come to me and tell me some stuff I didn't want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, like, but it was true. So I got to acknowledge it. But it's like, the conversation is like, now I kind of understand. Like, I understand why Christ said, if you have an art with your brother, put your gift down, go to him. Because a lot of times when you go to your brother, like, how many people got arts with their brothers, ain't been to their brother, and they mad in the middle of the service, and as soon as they see him, the blood pressure go up. You know what I'm saying? Why they clapping and pray, instead of ending it? Like, we can't pray. Like, the only way you're gonna end that thought, because that thought gonna keep, because you don't know. Mm-hmm. But once you have a conversation, you have no doubt. Even if what you thought was absolutely true, now you know it's absolutely true.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we dealing with the unknown. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's dangerous out here, bro. You got people in Canada just stabbing people. It's like, bro, yeah.
In Canada?
In Canada, one of my partners told me like it was like two people, and they like around the city they stabbed like 70 people or something like that. You know, like random stabbings, random stabbings, and it's like you don't never know where people at. All these school shootings. You know what I'm saying? And them monstrosities. Now a lot of schools basically got ARs in their schools. Like people just snapping out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And like how many people just sitting
and holding anger.
They're just holding in. You know what I'm saying? It's like instead of like, whoa, it's that's a state of emergency. You
It
feel
is.
what I'm saying? It's like that goes in the church, out of church, faith. No, it's a human thing, but it's like a conversation. That's what we here for. Let's have
Let's have the
the
conversation.
conversation. Let's talk. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
don't none of us got all the answers.
No.
What
That's
Kanye
why
said
we
was Sway?
bring. That's why we bring our ideas into a public forum called the conversation.
You don't got all the answers, Sway.
To see how many answers we got. I got 2. How many you got? One of these bound to land. One of these bound to work.
It's like, bro,
One of these ideas bound to lead us to a solution.
That's
Let's
why-
have the conversation.
that's why I like comedians, because they address
Oh.
things that we don't. You know what I'm saying? It's like a breath of
They
fresh
are
air.
like the front line of free speech, and they should be protected.